Ladies and gentlemen, we are live in the Roofing on the Rise studios where we bring you innovation and education in today's market. We are sponsored by the Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. When the insurance company delay, denies, and defends their position, reach out to me directly, 210 919 8987. I'll get you in contact with the right people over at Chad T. Wilson. Your clients deserve Chad T. Wilson. Now, we have an amazing topic and guest every single time we have a live stream, and today will be no different. Today, we are going to discuss a topic that I posted on Facebook 3 weeks ago. If you only knew the real markup distributors place on your roofing materials, hashtag boycott. Now, I know that ruffled some feathers. So let's talk about roofing's best kept secret with distribution, rebates, acquisitions of materials. Let's jump right in. First off, we've been lied to for the past 10 years. The very manufacturers and distributors have been passing the buck to us. And why? How do we combat this price increase? It's consistently every single quarter. It's outrageous and it's got to stop. So, what kind of distributors are there? First off, there's major box stores, right? We got like uh Beacon, we got SRS, which just got acquired by Home Depot, private equity deal, and $18.3 billion. Are you freaking listening to me? The reason why I bring stuff like this to you guys' attention is because of what's going on in the industry right now. Okay. Right now, acquisitions and mergers are happening all over the board. You look at a roofing supply, you look at a roofing company, both of them, they're owned by a PE company. Now, what does that mean for your privately owned roofing companies and privately owned distributors? I want to talk about this in this segment of roofing's best kept secret. Okay. So let's jump in again to the different kinds of major distributors. So ABC, SRS, Beacon, Home Depot, Elite Roofing Supply, Mid Atlantic. There's a difference between every single one of these. Okay. But there's only one of them that's really, we consider like a family owned, private owned company. That'd be like your Mid Atlantic. Elite used to be that, but they just got bought out by Gulf Eagle Supply in a private equity deal. I don't know the numbers on that, but I'll bring it to you soon. SRS sold to Home Depot in an $18.3 billion deal. And ABC is clinging on for dear life to be a privately owned major box store. If you have a distributor in your town, you've got an ABC. And that's what I loved whenever I traveled the nation, was that I knew that I would have a spot to go buy my materials from. The only question was, how much was it? Generally, when I buy from a private distributor, I'm going to get a better deal than when I'm going to go to a major box store. And so, if you know that, then you know the differences between those, right? You've got an immense uh, overhead on your major box store. Okay. So, first off, your purchasing power uh, it has to do with your manufacturers and your relationships. And if you're a major box, which means you've been on the block for a while, then you pretty much have all the manufacturers in together, and you've got your rebates down, rebates for your contractors, you got everything going down. But you've got, 5, 10, 15, $20 million operations, and you've got 20 or 30 of them in each city. So your operating costs are absolutely ridiculous. So you got to pass that off out to the customer and pass that off onto the contractor, right? This is the problem that we've had for so long. Privately owned, smaller purchasing power with two-step distributor. All right. Small purchasing with main manufacturers, operating costs are much lower and can sell you at a much lower operating. Why? Much lower markup because their operating costs are so much lower. See, I had that jumbled up. Sorry about that. So let's hear what Brian McSteen had to say about my statement, #boycott.
The shingles right now, and I'm going to tell you where we're at. We're at 22 to 25% on shingles. Okay. Sometimes we dip a little bit lower just to kind of move stuff out. So as things don't move, we lower the price. Right? You have to get inventory out, cash in, buy new stuff, and get new stuff on the shelves that is selling. Right? That's kind of the name of the game because but you got to understand there's a large cost. So if I have $2 million, which I do, sitting in a warehouse, and I'm not moving all of it, that's just money sitting on a floor.
Right.
And you have a warehouse, you have over.
So you've got $2 million on the ground, and it's got to go out. It can't just sit there. So what do? You got to drop the price. You got to play with a little bit. But the distributors and the manufacturers play too much. Here's why.
The distributors, they would play around with the prices and only give certain type of pricing to people that they really like.
And this is prevalent in the industry, left and right. This is true, that you just absolutely, you got to have that right relationship or you're not getting that price. You can ask your buddy across the state or even over in a different city and or the same city, and they're going to tell you that their price is $5 cheaper, $2 cheaper. Listen, you have different relationships, and each relationship, that dollar amount changes because of their ticket amount. And so this has driven smaller contractors to sell to private equity so that they can have a larger purchasing power. That's where it makes sense for a company to sell to PE. But you got these large roofing companies that have been taking the purchasing power from the smaller guy for a very long time, and they sell to private equity and a much larger private equity firm with a conglomerate of different contractors, which now has a much, much larger purchasing power. Their ticket is so much huger. So now, if you're private, a small roofing company, and you go against a company like this, brother, RIP to you, because their pricing is going to be much, much different. Not to mention the fact that a lot of these guys operate as their own distributor. How do they do that? They buy a bunch of material in bulk, they put it in a warehouse, and they ship it out. All right? Now, the problem with purchasing power drove people like Brian McSteen to make his own distributor because they wouldn't sell to him because they were playing too much.
A distributor will buy from another distributor to leverage both the relationship as well as purchasing power in the market.
And that right there is your two-step process. Okay. So you've got a two-step type of relationship with a distributor. So we're going to go over acquisition of materials here. Hold on, buckle up. I hope you are still on board. Okay. So your main manufacturer purchases with a relationship through, let's just say, Owens Corning. Okay. And Certainty, another $1 billion corporation. All right. Owned by Saint Gobain. Now, when let's say ABC deals with Saint Gobain or Owens Corning. They have a large purchasing power because they're a very large corporation. Now, when, say, Budget, Brian McSteen's company, calls to buy some materials, and there's an issue with the flow of materials, which means allocation. This has been said a couple of times. We'll circle back. Just hold on. When there's an allocation out, that means there's a lack of material. That means a small or large company only has an allocated amount of materials for a certain amount of time period, and there's nothing more because they have to make it. Why? Well, this manufacturers understood that if they kept distributors at bay and that they could hold on to a little bit of their materials, then they would hold on to a lot of their profits because they're selling it at a much higher rate. And they figured out that during COVID, that if they continued to have a lack of, it would drive prices up. Think about that for a second. They learned through COVID. That's pretty strong. But they did. It's a very amazing marketing strategy that these manufacturers came up with to sucker from the working man. This is not just a contractor that's getting the shaft, but you got homeowners and you got will calls. I mean, the will calls, if you knew that they sold at whatever price that just they came up with, like, it'd blow your mind. But that's what happens. Someone comes off the street, they've got a tier pricing. Man, and let your imagination flow. It happens, okay? So let's reel back to the acquisition of these materials from, let's say, ABC with Owens Corning, ABC with Certainteed, a smaller company like Budget trying to get Certainteed or OC. They're going to be ostracized because they don't have a much bigger buying power. They're not spending hundreds of millions. They're spending millions. Now, in the grand scheme of things, it's a whole lot of money. Doesn't matter if it's hundreds of millions or just millions, but it sounds like a whole lot of greed to me. It sounds like all this money is dictating whether or not we have a certain amount of price. So think about this. Have you ever thought about how the distributor has the money to take you out on all kinds of extravagant meals, whether or not it's in your mind extravagant, take you out to ball games, take you fishing and hunting? I'm talking massive hunts and fishing tournaments and excursions. These things cost lots of money. And for so long, we have been okay with it because we were offered a little bit of a rebate on the back end of things. Then you got to scratch your head. Wait, a rebate? Okay. So how does this work? So I give you a job, a roof order. You take that roof order, and then that money goes towards your operating costs, and then you got a small amount of profit left over. And that profit there, you've got to pay a sales rep, and then you've got taxes. And so as a contractor, you have to understand that the money that they make a lot of times is from the rebates, from the manufacturers that are raising the prices. So it's kind of a give and take relationship. Like they have to make the money to get that thing at the end of the year. It's a vicious cycle. Sounds like income taxes to me, but anyway, acquisition of material. So a lot of these distributors don't tell you is that they'll source materials from, and we haven't even talked about the two-step process yet. They'll source material from, and they won't tell you. They just give you this material. It has a label on it. And you got to trust that this material is like grade A stuff, right? But oftentimes you run into issues and manufacturer problems, and you got to make phone calls, right? Now, you have people in distribution chains that are ordering from people in different countries. Let's just say, for instance, certain teat is in a different country because their main operations is Saint Gobain in Paris. All right. You got to operate. That company operates globally. And Owens Corning, they've got plants here, but people all over the place. And you find their materials all over the place. So you get stuff from overseas, China. You got to think about things. America used to be the biggest import and export. It's like we all forgot where we came from, right? We used to export and import all kinds of stuff. I mean, absolutely everything. And now we rely on someone else to do it. Wait, hold on. What did I say? We rely on someone else to do it. So we're okay paying the premium because someone else is doing it. Now, here's my thing. Two-step distributors, they are getting their stuff from another company that is buying it from the manufacturer. So I wonder what rate the two-step company is getting it for. They've got to be much larger than, everyone else. Anyway, we'll keep going. I hope you're starting to understand this a little bit, right? Like, you've got a major ecosystem from manufacturer to distributor to contractor, and a rebate from a manufacturer to distributor to a contractor. And this is what keeps the flow of money going. If you interrupt it, it's like a pipeline. Something happens within that pipe. It explodes, got a leak, it doesn't flow, there's problems. Privately owned has a relationship with manufacturers, with two-step, sometimes with second slots, which kind of depends upon what you're looking for and what private distributor that you're dealing with. What's the big thing, though, that everyone's worried about? Warranty. What's the warranties provided by a major box? Well, you get what's called out of the box. That's what the manufacturer offers. So plug in your warranty here. Owens Corning, GAF, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Privately owned, same thing. Second slot, not so much. Second slot, no warranty. Okay. Going up, you're paying cash, you're getting what you get. You also not get the same lot, batch number, et cetera, et cetera. So let's talk a little bit about rebate programs. We discussed rebate a little bit. Major box offers, once you reach a certain purchasing tier, this is where it gets kind of nasty. Okay. Right. You'd think that they just offer it. You'd think that because you spend so much money, they just offer it, but they don't, because if they want to make money, they want to make money. All right. And it's a money making scheme here. I get it. Everybody's got to make money, but we got to do it the right way here. Privately owned provides rebates upon request. Sometimes they'll just offer it to you right off the bat. And I think that has a lot to do with popularity. All right. Second slot, no rebates. It's not going to rebate. It's not happening. So let's talk about choosing a distributor. Big way. Big things.
A lot of distributors weren't able to get Owens Corning.
Yeah.
Because Owens Corning has an allocation contract with Home Depot. So regardless of there being a supply chain issue, Owens Corning has a contractual agreement with Home Depot to supply them with a certain amount of shingles no matter what.
Are you listening? I hope you're listening. So when it comes down to the way in which that allocation happens, when you have an allocation, that means there's a small amount of material that's going to allocate to the rest of the people. And then you can't get what's already been allocated. Where does the price go? Price goes up. And it just doesn't stop from there.
Have you had any problems with any other manufacturers outside of the ones that we've already spoke about?
There's some issues going on with special deals, such as, for instance, Owens Corning. And we sell Owens Corning material. I can't diss them too much, but there is a problem where they have special pricing for home builders, and it's a significant price difference. And their claim is, well, when they go to build neighborhoods, they're all the same color. And I'm like, okay, well, what if I'm a contractor and I'm doing way more than that home builder, and say I agree to do this, the same color, will you give me the same price? They told me no. And I'm like, what's structurally different about me than a home builder?
Or how about the same allotment?
Yeah, they won't do it. And so they kind of pick and choose, and they have contracts for.
And so these issues that we continually have in the industry, they have to be addressed. That's why I'm putting this out. Here's the thing. You can choose to buy your own supply if you want to. Just like our friend Brian McSteen here did. He had an issue with what was going on in his market, and he decided that he was going to start purchasing materials somewhere else. That also had to do with another country. He wanted to do business with Mexico. And as he started to do business with a Mexican-owned company, then ABC's acquisition of materials from that company ceased to happen. Now, you can hear that story much more in another episode with Brian McSteen coming up here in the next few weeks. Now, think about that. Think about a company like ABC just stopping paying someone that they've been paying for a very long time, a manufacturer. That manufacturer is going to get nervous. Not necessarily immediately. Maybe as soon as that payment doesn't come in. And they're going to start scrambling at why. And then when they find out and they find the why, they're going to move. They're going to be like, I'm sorry, but we make money here. Which chokes the smaller distributor. So it's a game of chess. How much money you got and whose wheels getting greased. Really, I hope that you understand how to find the right distributor and the right relationship. So choosing a distributor, right? Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Jim Henson. I think that's super important. I think it's important for you to really grasp, right? Only you know, only you know what you need. So, what do you need? Do you need better pricing? Do you like trips? Do you like rebates? Sometimes you can get materials at an amazing price by leveraging the relationship in a different way, making them pay you in a different way. So, really, the main questions remain, right? Hey, I already knew this, but I chose to do nothing. Really, I feel like if you're out there and you're listening to this and you didn't learn something, learn this. Learn that this entire industry is a $1 billion industry and it's not going nowhere. And these main distributors, they want to protect their investments. So don't get in the way of it. That's the scare tactic. Don't get in the way of it or make yourself bigger. You only know what you need. You're the only one that knows what you need. So if you need help finding the right distributor, the right relationship, reach out. I'd love to help. Alternative solutions. You can order from a wide variety of different sources, Prime Source being one of them. Now, I do believe that you have to have a distributor type business set up, and that's not a easy feat, but can be done, as Brian has said. So, here's a couple of different people that you can order from. You can order from people overseas as strategic partnership relationships. And that's really what sparked this whole thing. Was I got a call from a friend of mine and he was like, hey dog, I got all that stuff for X amount. And I was like, no way. Like, yeah. I said, how? And he told me exactly how he did it. And it was from leveraging relationships from all over the world. And if you need help with that, we could probably help you out here pretty soon. Because I'm thinking about making a distribution chain that serves no rebates and serves up real pricing for real people doing real work. And I think that's super important. So how can you reach out to me? Right here. Damn, that's pretty small. I guess I should have made that a little bit bigger. Email address is the roofing on the rise podcast at gmail.com. My telephone number is 210-919-8987. Again, 210-919-8987. Let's hear our last bit about what you really know about yourself.
Most people don't know that they're capable of doing things because all goals are literally created backwards, because your end goal is your vision. This is where I want to go. But how do you get there and what are the steps? And people get overwhelmed, I think, with all the steps. They can't incrementally break it down.
Yeah.
And so they actually have to break it down to yearly, to monthly, to weekly, to daily, hourly. Right. What am I going to do today that's going to get me closer to this goal?
Yeah.
And it's a rock and a chisel. And most people are not willing to bust out the.
That's just kind of the harsh reality. A lot of people just don't want to bust out that hammer and chisel. Today, I'm here to encourage you that you need to bust out the chisel and the hammer. Go and refine the relationships or go start a new one, start a distributor. Do something crazy. Every single one of our ancestors did. What are you going to do? what change are you going to leave? You guys, it was amazing. Again, we are sponsored by Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. When the insurance company denies, and defends their position, reach out to me. Your clients deserve better. Your clients deserve Chad T. Wilson Law Firm. Telephone number to reach out to me is 210-919-8987. Again, 210-919-8987. It's been real. It's been live.